Well, welcome to Toowoomba, Justin, and thanks so much for coming and installing your works.
Pleasure.
I'm intrigued by the title, Hold Fast, Stay True. Just wondering if you could talk about that.
Sure. Well, it's a pretty informal statement, and it's a very sort of heartfelt one, and it's personal. I think it's probably the most personal title that I've used for an exhibition before. And I think how that's come about is through me having extended experience in having exhibitions and making work and thinking about all the ideas that come before the work. And I think maybe what the title of the show means is, what is it? It's a heartfelt message that I am using to keep myself on track. It is a saying or something that I tell myself that I must do, because ultimately what I'm interested in is staying true to the cause or the concept or the rigorousness behind my work. It's the more and more work that I make, the less and less I am interested in compromise of any kind. The deeper I get into my own practice, the more I realise I'm making it for myself and myself only. So it's a kind of sentiment. It's something that I believe in. It's like a motto of some kind for myself. It's a recognition of those things that are most important to me. And they're things that I can't actually necessarily describe in work. But it's things that I can identify and that I am drawn towards, and it's things that I must stay on course in the approach, and so therefore I must stay true and stay on target and hold fast and keep direction and keep course. That's ultimately what my practice is about, keeping on that course.
Yeah.
It goes above and beyond all forms and academic classifications. It's about the direction that I feel as though I must go in.
So are these wrapped up in, would you talk about any of those concerns, like that you're, like, I guess, formal, or are there formal elements that you use as points of departure, or like...
There are always starting points. There's like colour and line and form and composition and positive and negative space and dynamics and symmetry and balance and all the opposite of those things as well. But they're tools. They're visual tools that you use to establish a vocabulary in a practice, and the exhibition comes out of the practice. So they're starting points. They're very much tools. They're equipment. They're starting points that everybody can use in making work. But it's the emotion behind the use of those things, and it's the deep concepts behind those things that actually create the work and the art within the work. So, yeah.
And the statement that you wrote for the show
is very heroic. Is very heroic and has this kind of tone to it that talks about a kind of utter belief and a journey and a mission, a solo one at that, a kind of recognition of history, and then also sort of like this idea of travelling along a line and a path, and understanding that you're sort of that I am part of a bigger narrative. That's how I like to see it. That's how I like to see my practice. That's how I like to see each and every works. Every single work that I make is part of a bigger story. That's how I situate it. That's the kind of figure-ground relationship.
And your response to architecture, that's, I guess, as much as concern as what's going on inside the picture frame?
To architecture.
Is it grounded?
Well, yeah. In the case of the site-specific work, the architecture presents problems and opportunities. And the work has to kind of work in line with the opportunity, with the problems to create a solution. It's very material, and it's something you negotiate when you make the show. Half of this show was made in my studio, the other half is made here.
Yeah.
It's a balance between the two.
I'm really interested in that idea of this balance that you have going on between the sort of like really formal, not restrained, but really kind of these works that are embedded in this type of discipline that's so thought through and planned, and then there's this counterbalance with this type of intuition or this kind of like intuitive mark making that you do. And often, and I know that we're not really talking about reflex at the moment, but that wall that you installed this morning, there was such this audio kind of like this musical movement that goes on, and it's somehow you have this balance between constraining that within a space or within the architecture. Would you talk about that? Or do you think about that?
Well, I do, but it's a very organic thing. It's something that unfolds. So I've found that in the 12, 13, 14, 15 years that I've been making this work, and I've always made this kind of work, it started off really tight. It started off really academic, super hard edge, super flat, very kind of plastic sort of abstraction by the book. But as I have continued along my own line, I've realised that that's actually not me. But I actually had to do it in order to realise that. What is me is continuing to chase my own ideas and allowing things to just actually loosen up a bit. And I guess maybe that's the point that you're talking about. There's this formal sort of reference. There's a reference to formalism, there's a reference to the avant-garde, constructivism, and a geometric abstraction, whatever that is. But they're just the classifications. What I'm most interested in is making a mark, about making an image, about using time to create a work.
So would you say that's why we're involved in inverted topography project?
Absolutely. That was a collaborative project where the work itself was the collaboration, and the artwork that was made, or the construction that was made, or the in situ kind of object that was made is basically a figment or a figure of the discussion and the dialogue and the compromises and the hardship, people exerting influence and other people coming forward and stepping back, and it's like a big dance in a way, as collaborative projects are. But with reflex, I mean, that's a completely new work for me, because that uses the forms of circles which have no sort of stability whatsoever, and it just hovers there in the middle of the wall. And I really, really like that weightlessness, because it's sort of like this idea that doesn't have any kind of, like, it's not going in any one direction, it's just sitting there. And it's definitely a wall drawing rather than a wall painting. And I say that because drawing is a completely different methodology to painting. Drawing is about making a mark, and it's about placing that mark on a plane, and it's not quite so bound by material constraints of painting. Drawing is a lot looser and freer, and it has more possibilities available to it, because it doesn't involve so many materials. So this is permanent marker, and it's on this really textured wall, and the wall drawing itself shows up the texture and the resonance and the residue of previous works on the wall. And what I really wanted to do in my practice is bring in that which is outside of my studio into the work. More and more, that's what I want to do within my practice. I want to use context. I want to use the artwork as a vehicle to show the work's context. And so that, I just saw the texture and the scaly nature of that wall as a gift. It was a real opportunity to very lightly seek this mark, this symbol, this drawing within the context of the wall, the town, the project, its organisers, the program, everything. It's just sitting there, and because a circle has no flat sort of side to it whatsoever, it's just sitting there in space. It doesn't touch the edges of the wall. It's just there, you know. And I think that's really nice. That's really temporary, and yeah, it was a real success. So, but the thing with this show is that the wall drawing represents a kind of structure. The wall drawing is a structure. The wall drawing is a context for my work and a context for me, and the paintings are like a representation of me. And so I am situated within a context, which is exactly how it is as an artist. You place yourself on a map, chronological map, historical map, a kind of situational kind of map as well. So I'm surrounded on all sides by all of these things which affect my work. And so therefore the paintings are placed in the middle of the wall with this diagrammatic, graphic thing that sort of surrounds it. And that's it, that's the show. That was the intention.
Well, thank you for coming to RAYGUN. Thank you for coming to Toowoomba.
Absolute
So
pleasure,
lovely.
Tan. Thank you.
Okay.